Now, Bilal Sert, Imam Bilal Sert, floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Shalom. I salute you with the salutations of greetings of Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, David, Moses, Jesus Christ, of course, and Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon them all. I would like to thank you for having me with this, honored gathering with Father Michel and Rabbi Folberg. It is already, it has been a lot of gatherings like that, interfaith gatherings. I'm very, pleased with. I'm praying you will continue doing that, online sessions like that about different topics. Of course, our topic is COVID-19 and pandemic. First of all, I would like to extend my condolences to people of all religions, races, ethnicities, and the countries, all countries who lost their loved ones because of this pandemic. I will have a couple of statements before moving forward to our main topic, which is, of course, practicing our religious duties during the pandemic. If I deviate from the straight path a lot, please warn me. So I'll try to come back to the main topic. Thank you. So I think human being has never felt this much weak and vulnerable since this Spanish flu, right? From sociological point of view, sociology of religion point of view, I have been gathering some data online and making some content analysis on people's attitudes towards religion. That is hot topic always, especially during the pandemic, how this changed. I was interested in a lot, so I started collecting data online and making some analysis. And since the social restrictions started, how people's attitudes changed toward religion and the praying. And I can briefly conclude that people are more religious than ever. We know that the American society, Indian society as sociologists, Indian society and Turkish society, even though they are modern countries, religiosity, the people's attitudes towards religion would significantly change. We knew that since 1972, but this much change, nobody actually expected. I think the Peter Berger could not predict COVID-19 years ago while he was creating his groundbreaking work of secularization and modernity and decline of religiosity. I think his theory completely collapsed. In addition to all the happenings in the past, now we have COVID-19 and people turn their face to religion. I can clearly see that. There is a noticeable inclination to healing power of the prayer more than ever. In addition to that, the number of interfaith gatherings to pray together significantly increased, right? Maybe Father Michel and the Rabbi agree with me. We have a lot of interfaith gatherings. That is a promising thing for me, for the future of this country. And the United States is a pluralistic country. We know that already, but we had more of institutional pluralism. But now I can see that we have more individual pluralism as well, individual relationship, individual interfaith gatherings. There's a noticeable increase in interfaith gatherings, and individuals are, coming together to pray for the same goal, to get rid of that COVID-19 that is actually all of our problem. If I think we successfully get rid of this pandemic with the help of Allah, help of God, of course, first, and by means of our scientists who are working hard to find a cure for disease, these interfaith dialogue programs, this extensive number of the interfaith dialogue programs is going to change the future of that country as well. I'm hoping that this is one of the positive the outcome of this pandemic. I can clearly see. Uh, as for how do we, or how we should respond to the pandemic as Muslims, there are many forms of actively responding it. So there is one perspective, which is sha'ni rububiyyat, from the perspective of Allah. So this is not our job to discuss or talk. God can test us with anything. Kayfa ma yasha, whatever he likes, whatever he wants to do, he can do with us. We have this certain faith in our heart. But the most important thing, how are we going to respond this? We always pray Allah. We give us, oh Allah, oh God, give us strength, give us patience, right? But my actually other friends maybe agree with me. When you ask certain things from Allah, you are asking that conditions to be tested as well, along with that strength, right? Yeah, that patience you ask from Allah Azza wa Jal, the power you are asking from Him, but simultaneously you are asking any conditions you are going to be tested, right? Tested with this patience, with this perseverance, or with this strength, the power. As Muslims, we can respond to that pandemic in micro level, in individual level, of course, in meso level, in community level, and of course in macro level, as part of a greater society, the American society. The Muslims can respond, this pandemic. But the most important thing, the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the old hadith book of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, like the Bukhari, start with the hadith of the intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. I wanna start with intention, because whatever you are doing in individual level, in micro level, meso level, macro level, whatever you do, what kind of endeavor, zeal you are doing to eliminate or to help during the pandemic, is based on your intention. You are going to be rewarded by Allah Azza wa Jal based upon your intention. Your intention is the most important thing. The intention illustrated clearly in Quran. In Surah Al-Kahf, the people, seek refuge to the cave. They escape from the tyrant king. They were seeking a peaceful atmosphere to pray. So their intention was the place to defend themselves against the tyrant king, and find a peaceful atmosphere to pray Allah Azza wa Jal. So that isolation, if you accept that isolation as peaceful atmosphere to pray and make yourself close to Allah Azza wa Jal, close to God, you are going to be rewarded with that intention. Whatever you do at home, actually, dealing with your kids, spending time for their education, spending quality time with your religious teachings, and all other teachings as well for their education, and spending even time with your pets, observing them, making gardening in your backyard, and helping neighbors for shopping, some elderlies to do some shopping, and making some bread and spread before breaking your fast. All of these actions are depending on your intention, is going to be rewarded by Allah Azza wa Jal. Only Allah knows what you intended to do these actions. In meso level, as community level, you can gather people and give them positive message and give them some pathways. So we are leaders, all of us. كلكم راء وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. What Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, says. You are the leaders. You are the shepherd of your herds. I mean, you have family members. I have 2 daughters, my wife, so I'm responsible for them. Or somebody listens to me, somebody care about my expertise or my opinion. So I'm responsible for them as well. So again, based upon your intention, when you give them good message, some glad tidings, give them hope. So you are going to be rewarded with your intention as well. Why you are doing this. So in Ramadan, we are fasting already and enjoying all types of worship of the Ramadan. The rabbi talk about this congregational prayer. What we are missing is only congregational prayers. That's all. Even some families if they have 3 people together in the household, they can create congregation. So in congregation only, we believe that Allah multiply the reward of that worship, right? The 70 times more when you are doing this in congregation, congregational prayers. The prescribed prayers, daily prayers, are not ordered to be in congregation. We have only one, the congregational prayer we must do with the congregation is Jum'ah prayer. We are away from it. But I know some crowded families, they can perform this alone because we have 4 jurisdiction in Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Imam Azam Abu Hanifa, and he says 3 people is enough. Shafi, Maliki, and Hanbali says 40 people. You need to have 40 people to perform the Jum'ah prayer. But the Hanafi jurisdiction, if you have 3 people, you can even perform congregational prayer at home in isolation, no problem. So we are, of course, getting away from the social gatherings. So the only thing we are away from right now during the isolation. We continue other types of Ramadan activities. So as advantage of the congregational prayer, we know that I also already mentioned, it is rewarded 70 times more by Allah Azza wa Jal. But there is one interesting, maybe, the forcing to see the silver lining of the isolation. It gives us sincerity a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, we are alone, some actions, performing some prayers in congregation, maybe the congregation may be a stimuli for motivation of many of our prayers. Now it is time to test ourselves. I mean, we are alone, we are in isolation. So we can closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. We can closer to God. And sincerely we can do that because there is nobody is observing us except Allah. Right? So I can mention this as one of the advantages of the isolation. Even as the world struggles with COVID-19, the yearly rituals of the Ramadan must continue like every other year throughout the holy month. The 1.8 billion Muslims, I think they have been fasting between dawn and sunset. We are spending time in Quranic recitation, of course. We are reading Quranic chapters. We make muqabala. If you haven't heard this before, in congregation, in Zoom meetings, of course, right now, and within the family we can do that too. One is reciting Quran, the others are listening and following it on other books, so that we are making the corrections of our mistakes when we recite Quran, so that we can preserve Quran. Quran is orally transmitted and transmitted in a written form as well, two forms. People memorized it, throughout history for 1400 years. There are I can tell the millions of the Quran memorizers I can mention in the world right now among 1.8 billion Muslims, and other Muslims are responsible to preserve the written part of it. So we are reciting and reading Quran most often during the time of Ramadan, because the Quran, the revelation started and completed in the month of Ramadan. So it is the best time to recite Quran. Of course, we continue the reciting Quran, but this year, we are also praying in the Ramadan. We extensively pray for those in need, and we actually extend our exceptions from the fasting to the people who have the symptoms of COVID-19. So as you know, some pregnant women, travelers, children, the mothers, anyone who is sick, right? Now they are not obliged to fast during the month of Ramadan. Now we extended that, it's actually, if you say privilege to those people, this right to those people who have symptoms of COVID-19, so they don't have to, the fast in the month of Ramadan. So as every Ramadan we pray, with the pandemic, we also extended our prayers to the people who are currently suffering and fighting against the virus in different countries of the world. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal in Ramadan intensively for speedy recovery for all of them. Right now we have more than 4 million people, right? 4 million people. We could get the virus and we could get sick as well. Therefore, we should empathize with those people and try to share their pain when we pray for them, so that we can maybe eliminate a potential harm or danger may come to our neighborhood, community, by feeling them, by praying for them, bi'idhnillah. So we have already charity in Ramadan. Another significant aspect of the Ramadan is the charity, the zakat and fitra we give in Ramadan. Almsgiving and charity in English. For obligation, our obligation to help and support those in need also take, on added meaning this year, as our neighbors and communities face sickness, grief, economic hardship, and the loneliness of the isolation. At this point, I would suggest any person here is watching this, the gathering, this interfaith program, to find at least one person or family to ask if they are doing okay in your neighborhood. Just one family. So that's what we are doing right now, and during the pandemic, and offer any help you can do, and least thing you can do, just ask them and plan it, and if necessary, fund it with a fundraiser. Americans are helpers, seriously. They love helping. They have this culture. I've seen this culture after these disasters in Houston, in Dallas after the tornado, and flood after Houston. There's a culture of helping one another. So we have to grow this. We have to nurture that culture in our neighborhood, in our community, in meso and macro level of society. So how can we do that? So individually, I'm asking you, just, they love helping, and fundraise for your actions. But, the Americans are helpers, as I mentioned before. They love helping, just they may need frontiers in action sometimes. They want to see good, sincere people in front of the line. People will definitely join you in helping others as well. Do I have time? Okay. Just one more minute. I was going to talk about scapegoating and, some term in Surah Al-Baqarah, but later, inshallah. So the last thing as a worship, again, niyyah, the intention, following the authorities, the precautions and warnings, and following them, and staying at home, isolating yourself, and helping, as much as you can. With your intention, if you do this for sake of Allah, because you are young, your immune system is strong, your kid's immune system is strong, you are less likely to get the virus, or you can get sick or die. But it doesn't actually, release you from the responsibility as Muslim. Saving one man's life is going to be accepted and rewarded by Allah as saving the humanity's life. Unintentionally, you may be reason for somebody die, so you can carry this virus. As Muslim, and with your pure intention, staying in your isolation, and sincerely, without, you don't want to spread that virus, contaminate this virus to other people who may be more vulnerable than, the weaker than you are. So that is also another kind of worship during the Ramadan we are doing. And after Ramadan, if our government, the authorities will order us to stay, so we will continue obeying that order as well. So we see this as a worship as well. May Allah accept us as worship. Thank you so much. Thank you.